Hello everyone and welcome to a new review on ChinaMobileMag.com. Today we want to have a look at the No.1 N3, which is a Samsung Galaxy Note 3 clone without Samsung logos. The device is equipped with a 5.7-inch 720p screen, a MT6589T CPU clocked at 1.5 GHz, 1 GB of RAM, 8 GB of internal memory and dual SIM support. The device has been sponsored in color black by Lantine.com. Thanks for that at this point, so let's start with the review. On the front of the No.1 N3 we find the telephone speaker, sensors for gesture control, brightness and approximation, as well as the front camera right on top. Below is the large 5.7-inch 720p screen. Below the screen are the illuminated soft buttons as well as a physical home button. On the left side of the device we find a volume rocker embedded into a silver plastic frame. On the lower side of the device we find a voice microphone, a fake USB 3.0 port that does support standard micro USB cables and OTG even though it does not look like it at first. The speaker as well as a stylus that can be put inside the phone and is an imitated S Pen. On the right side we do find nothing except a on-off switch. On the upper side we do find an infrared blaster, a microphone and the 3.5mm headphone jack. On the back we find the camera along with a LED flash on top. Unfortunately the LED flash is not really useful. Below is a No.1 logo. On the lower half of the back we do find nothing. The back looks almost exactly like the original Note 3 but is not made from leather or synthetic leather but plastic instead. Still, it feels good, looks good and doesn't slide in your hands. If you remove the rear of the phone you will see a micro SIM slot, a micro SD slot and another micro SIM slot for WCDMA. Below the battery you can see the rear of the internal speaker. An interesting thing is that you can see contacts for a NFC antenna and in the back cover there is even space for a NFC antenna. Still no antenna has been built in, even though the system would support it and you can see settings for it. Strange, isn't it? On the first boot of the No.1 N3 we noticed the nice boot animation as first. Another unusual thing is that the status LED is pulsating in blue during the boot. A cold boot takes around 30 seconds, when fast boot is enabled it takes 5 seconds. The next thing we noticed about the No.1 N3 is the great screen for a clone device. Colors are very vivid and everything is visible, crisp and sharp. Even fine details are displayed nicely. The brightness is very good and you will be able to see the screen's content when being outside. Pixels are not visible even though the resolution is only 720p at 5.7 inches. Only if you come very close to the screen you will be able to see pixels. We believe that the screen is not an OGS panel, but still the gap between the panel and the glass is very thin. When you look at the screen from the sides you will still be able to see everything and colors do not invert. The screen isn't perfect though. From the sides the colors become visibly darker and the brightness is reducing significantly. Also the screen is suffering from light bleeding on the borders. But this is only noticeable on dark content and dark environment. The brightness can be controlled smoothly right out of the notification center. The automatic brightness control is working surprisingly good and finds the right setting most of the time. Sometimes however it is reacting kinda nervous. In the Antutu benchmark, the No.1 N3 reached 13,577 points. This is a little bit low for a MT6589T processor at 720p resolution. When you look at the comparison table, you will find the No.1 N3 between the Samsung Galaxy S2 and the Google Nexus 4. Thus, the phone cannot keep up with the real Samsung Galaxy Note 3, but this was nothing we did expect, to be honest. In 3D Mark, the No.1 N3 reached 2,949 points in the iStorm 720p benchmark. In the 1080p benchmark, 1468 points have been reached, and in the iStorm Unlimited benchmark, 2486 points. In the GFX benchmark, the No.1 N3 reached 154 points. This is below the result of a Star S7589 with a slower MT6589 processor at same resolution, which is a bit strange. But how is the performance in real life? Well, as you can see here, the user interface, which is a touch-wiz clone, is working very smooth. You can scroll through the menus and nothing is lagging. Apps like the browser are opening fast and without much delays. Surfing the internet is working flawlessly and you have a lot of space thanks to the big screen. Websites can be scrolled and zoomed smoothly, and also the usage of two large websites in multiple tabs and switching between them is working smooth. Thus, we can say that you will not notice the bad benchmark results during productivity usage. The limits of the No.1 N3, however, are reached during gaming, but this does not mean that you cannot play games with it. It simply depends on which games you play. Games with low to middle requirements can be played flawlessly. High-end games are not really playable. Right now you can see Dead Trigger 2, which is running at full detail smooth most of the time. Angry Birds Star Wars 2 was running completely smooth in our test, not a single slowdown was noticeable. Real Racing 3, however, was not playable at all. Here we did see a slideshow instead of smooth animations. Even the sound was hanging. One thing we have to say is that No.1 has done a great job in imitating some of the original features of the Note 3, even though they did not implement as much features as HTC did with their Note 3 clones. Those which have been implemented are running flawlessly and are useful. One of the best features is the multi-window feature that you can see here. It is working almost the same as on a real Note 3. By pressing the back button for a longer time, the multi-window bar will pop up. Now you simply drag the app you want to open on the place you want to have it. You even can change the size and the order of the windows. Another feature that has been implemented into the No.1 N3 is the gesture control. Once activated, you can scroll through the home screens, the app drawer and the gallery with it. This is working in both directions as well as from an appropriate distance. The next well-working feature is Smart Pause. When enabled, your head is being tracked. The phone is recognizing if you are looking at the screen or somewhere else. If you are not looking at the screen anymore, the video playback will be paused. Here in the demo it is not working that well because of the camera which is in the way. During normal usage it is working flawlessly and is pretty useful. Interesting is that No.1 has even installed some Samsung apps on the N3. S-Voice is present even if not fully integrated in the OS. Neuer Termin Geburtstag 26. Februar 2014. After opening S-Voice, you can do certain things by simple voice commands. Here in the demo, sorry for the German, I did add a new event to the calendar. As you can see now, the previously created event is now inside the calendar app. Also, the app story album has been pre-installed by No.1. This can be used to create nice looking photo albums from your picture gallery. The next feature, which could be quite useful for some of you, is the S Pen fake. Upon removing the pen from the phone, you will hear a noise and air command is popping up. With this you can, for example, take screenshots and add new events to the calendar. As you can see, this is working quite well. Writing and drawing with the pen on the screen is working precisely and without any delays. After getting used to it and using the right software, you can even do complex drawings with it. The most interesting feature for most is probably the IR blaster of the No.1 N3. On the N3 this one is real and not a fake as on most other Note 3 clones. There is an app pre-installed which enables you to control a wide range of devices like TVs, DVD players and air conditioning. Even though the setup of the app is annoying, it is working quite well. At first you have to choose your brand, in our case LG, and then try all the available presets until you find one that is working. In order to ensure that it is working properly, you should hold the IR blaster towards the device that is to be controlled.
Ist alles toll, alles prima und über offenen Feuerstelle in der Küche.
Nee, bleib mal schön hier. Das ist das Beste, was du machen kannst. Oder willst du dich noch länger verprügeln lassen?
The camera of the No.1 N3 is a big disappointment. Pictures have a lot of noise in them, even if the lighting conditions are not bad. The noise is getting lesser the higher the lighting is, but it will not completely go away. This is kinda sad, as basically the camera is not that bad. A thing that could be better is the color reproduction of the camera. Colors do not look very nice, which makes pictures look kinda sad. During the recording of videos, you will notice the same issues. The picture is noisy here as well, and the colors are not very intense. A thing we noticed is the extremely sensitive microphone of the device. You will be able to hear every single noise on video recordings, even very silent ones. A demo recording you will find as always in our YouTube channel. The battery life of the No.1 N3 is okay. The phone is equipped with a 2800 mAh battery. We believe that as the number fits to the size of the battery. With a fully charged battery, the phone will run around 1 to 1.5 days. What we did notice is that the battery tends to make a jump downwards at around 40%. This can be fixed by charging the phone while being turned off and rebooting it when such a jump happens. This seems to be a typical No.1 bug, as we experienced the same with the No.1 S6. By the way, you can use original Samsung batteries with the phone. Charging takes around 2 hours. The reception quality of the No.1 N3's Wi-Fi is not that good, unfortunately. On the same floor as the router we did not have any issues during our test. Also not on the floor below and above if you are above the router. But if you walk away from the router, the signal will be lost fast. Surprisingly, it did work in the garden. Here the previously tested Xiaomi Mi 3 did not work. Luckily such issues are not happening with 2G and 3G networks. In the house the phone did indicate 3 bars. Even 3G reception did work, This is something not every phone can do, as we have bad signal strength here. Outside it did almost always have full signal strength. Phone calls work flawlessly and both persons can understand each other well. Disappointing again is the GPS reception quality. Here the phone did not find a single satellite even after 45 minutes. Only after doing the advanced GPS fix that we described in a tutorial some time ago, the phone did find 4 satellites. This was enough for an accuracy of 5 to 6 meters. But on the next day the phone did not find any satellites again. So basically the GPS is not operational. Bluetooth however was working flawlessly. The connection to our Bluetooth speaker has been established fast and without any issues. The range was around 12 meters. The internal speaker of the No.1 is great. It is not only very loud and clear, but also does not clatter at maximum volume. In addition to that, it does have a lot of bass. Listening to music is great with this phone. Also, the audio output over the headphone jack is surprisingly good and powerful. Here the No.1 N3 is outperforming all previously tested cheap phones. You could believe that a dedicated audio processor has been built in here. Now let's come to the final conclusion. The No.1 N3 is a great clone of the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. Again, a great clone. So let's not measure that based on the scale of non-cloned China phones. According to our opinion, the No.1 N3 is the best of all Note 3 clones available now. Here some useful features have been implemented that do really work well. In addition to that, the No.1 N3 has a good mobile network reception quality, a satisfying screen, a great audio quality, both through the internal speakers as well as the headphone jack, and a good battery life. What is disappointing, however, is the battery bug, the bad camera, the Wi-Fi reception which could be better, and the not working GPS. Also, the performance of the ROM could be optimized in order to enable at least some more demanding games to run. In the end, we can recommend the No.1 N3 to everyone who is looking for a good Note 3 clone and can live with the disadvantages of it. Whoever does not need the original Note 3 features, but a good GPS, camera and Wi-Fi reception, should look for another device. The No.1 N3 is available through our sponsor Lantien.com for around $208 in the colors white, black, black gold and white gold. In addition, there are some shipping fees. We hope that we were able to help you with this review and would be happy about thumbs up and a subscription to our channel. Have a nice day, bye.